So when I lived in Welling, that was the most central I got in the city. I was living on the banks of the Thames. When we went jogging in the mornings, we would go and we'd jog along the River Thames and watch the boats pass by, passing off the docks, and we could see the bridges off in the distance. London was a great experience of my mission. Something about being in London South is everything north of the river is kind of where they have more of the posh areas, the areas where foreign dignitaries live, and Kensington, which is the most expensive postal code in the country, as well as most of the places where tourists go to visit. South of the Thames is a lot more housing. It's where people live that then commute north to go work in the city. And so it was great to live south of the river because instead of dealing with tourists often, we were always dealing with people that lived there and worked there. I think Welling was probably where I experienced the most of the diversity that exists among the people that live in the UK. A typical day was after we'd wake up and we'd do all our studies and we'd leave our flat and we'd walk out, and the first person I talked to would be from Brazil. The person after that would be from Sri Lanka. The person after that would be from Spain. The person after that would be from Poland. The person after that would be from the States. The person after that would be from Mexico. And this was how it was anytime I was in London. So every place I went, I would be meeting people from all over the world. And it was fun to get to know all the different cultures and to get to know different people's habits and beliefs, and to try foods from all over the world. Once you serve in London, you'll eat something called fufu, which is an African dish. It's basically it's like bread cement that you dip in soup and you eat, and it just keeps you so full. And I learned on my mission how to meet and greet in, I think, 14 or 15 different languages, which is something I found to be really helpful among the people because it was an incredible icebreaker. I would meet someone from Ghana, and as soon as I would realize that they were from Ghana, I would ask them where they were from, and if they were from an area that spoke Twi, I would be like, "Oh, etuse, wahutasin," and they would be so happy to meet someone that spoke their language that they would stop and they would talk. And I did the same for many other cultures and different ethnicities and languages. When you live in London, it's all about buses as well. The entire mission, when I left, there was only 8 cars that full-time young missionaries would use. The rest were used by senior couples. The entire mission I spent walking. Walking and busing is basically the way you get around in London South. And so some areas like Farnborough, it would be just one single bus route that we get a bus pass on. But in London itself, you get an Oyster card, which is a pass that you can just tap on to any bus, any underground system, and most trains as well. And so anytime we wanted to get anywhere, we would jump on the bus. So one of the first things we would do as soon as you got into an area was look at the maps and try to memorize all the bus routes, because it's key to know which buses get you where quickly. And while we're on the note of buses, buses became one of my favorite proselyting experiences as well. Well, sometimes you get on a bus and all you want to do is just rest because you're so tired of walking and talking. People on the buses are often, tired too, and are ready to, any kind of distraction by talking to people next to them is very welcome. So I found it very effective to just jump on a bus and sit down next to someone and strike up a conversation. And it was a different kind of contact because instead of starting with the fact that I was a missionary, I was able to talk about them for a while and get to know them before inviting them to learn more about the church. It was one of my favorite ways to meet people on my mission, and very many, a lot of successes, a lot of teaching opportunities came out of that. South London is the most expensive mission that the church operates. It's mostly because of rent is so expensive for London, but also because travel and food are very expensive in London. The church gives you well enough money to handle housing and food and whatnot. As long as you're thrifty, you can make it through a month and eat well enough to be fine. As well as, depending on where you serve, members will feed you pretty well as well. I never once had an experience on my mission where I felt unsafe. There was never a time where I felt like I was in danger of being robbed or mugged in any way like that. While there were occasional vague threats from young teenagers or something like that just thought it'd be fun to poke fun at a holy man or something like that, it was far and few between. I can only think of maybe one specific instance where that happened. That being said, there are areas that you need to avoid, but anyone in that in each area will let you know where those are. But even some of those areas that are supposed to be dangerous, I never once felt unsafe in. You don't have to worry about your own rent. I know some missions, they have you take care of that and haggling prices and stuff like that. But the mission office takes care of all rent, and so you never have to once look at how much your rent costs. So your two main expenses are transportation and food. And so they give you, when I was there, it may have changed now due to inflation, but it was about 120 pounds or so a month for food, which, as I said, was perfectly fine as long as you didn't eat out too much and you were smart in your shopping and were willing to cook. That was always well enough to live well, especially if you and your companion combined your money together to buy your food. Transportation, depending on where you live, they give you the amount that you need for a bus pass. In some cases, we would dip into our food money to buy train tickets, because we usually have a little bit of that left over if it was more convenient or better or more time effective for us to take the trains every once in a while. But other than that, they would just give you the exact amount that you would need for a monthly or weekly bus pass, which would then work on all the buses in your district. One thing I would say about preparation for serving in London is obviously it rains, so you have to have good rain gear. A good enough, just buy an umbrella that's not too expensive, but that won't break easily because it's often windy while it's rainy. So if you have a cheap umbrella, it will unfold on you and will be annoying. Also, if you can get an umbrella that's compact, but not too cheap, it's very helpful, because I tried to have my umbrella on me at all times because you never knew when it was going to start raining. As far as clothes go, I'd actually recommend that you buy most of your mission clothes out there, because frankly, British nice dress is nicer and cheaper than American stuff. And so something that some of my friends did that I thought was a good idea is if you just buy a suit and enough shirts to basically get you through the MTC, and then save some of your money for when you get out there. Because I was able to buy a British suit, which was much nicer than my American suit, for about, the equivalent was about $70, while American suit costs around like $160 or so. And also the shirts there I was able to get for £5 each, which is roughly about $7. Ties as cheap as £1, which is like $1.75. So yeah, I'd recommend buying most of your clothes and gear and stuff out there.